Okay, here we go, part 16. In this part, I'm going to work on some particle hair and see what else we can get done. Okay, one thing I was thinking about today is on these goggles. I don't know if I want the orange color, so I'm going to fix this up real quick. Won't take too long, hopefully. I just want to give it a more of like a bronze color. So I want to make this more of a little brownish orange, maybe about right there. And one trick I've figured out. I can say I figured it out, but one way I've found to create a metallic texture. Oops, rearrange those somehow. Okay, is to see if I can scale this down so I can get everything in the view. There we go. It's way over there. Let's put it back in the same place it needs to go. There we go. One way to give it a metallic view, excuse me, is to turn the toon shader on and turn its smoothness up a little bit. But that's on the specular toon shader there on the diffuse shader. Okay, make the size up a little higher. Set the smooth. A little better reference, and make it cook torrent. Let's see, what is the default? I don't know. We'll say Fong. Just make it real shiny. Maybe smooth down some. Let's play with the settings here. That'll probably work. Make this a little bit less orange, a little more brownish. There we go. Sorry I keep clearing my throat. I just ate. I guess my throat's a little gurgly. Anyways. Okay, so I kind of got a nice bronzy color now. Go ahead and see what that looks like on here. Go ahead and render that out real quick. Yeah, that looks okay. Okay, so now, moving forward. Let's work on that hair I keep mentioning. Okay, first thing I want to do is go into edit mode, and I want to select the vertices that are going to be the scalp. Actually, you know what? I want to select the faces, the polygons. So I select everything that's going to be the scalp. And let's do these two. Maybe some sideburns. And that guy. And let's get this one as well. And there we go. Everything selected? Nope. Control 3 to pop into this view. Select these last few. Okay, all good. Alrighty. Now we go back to the editing tab, and I want to create a new vertex group with all these guys selected. So I hit new right here under vertex groups, and let's name it scalp. Scalp. Okay, and I want to assign those faces, which are actually the polygons selected. Actually, you know, one thing that this does is it takes the vertex and puts the particles all around it. So really, I don't want them the particles coming outside of this boundary. So I'm going to select all of these guys that make up basically the frame of the hair. Oops. Don't need these. Alt. Okay. And these, I believe. And I want to remove those. So, when you select all that, it's going to put the particles on to what you see highlighted here, and then it's going to put it on between like for instance, it's going to select this vertex is going to put particles between this one and this one. So they're going to come in through here and down here and everywhere that we deselected and what stayed selected, if that makes sense. Okay, so we have our scalp, and one way to test, like I did a second ago, one way to test and see what all is part of that vertex group, you just hit select, and right now we only have the scalp, and that's all that we want. Okay, so pop out of edit view, and let's go over to the particles, the object thing, F7, and you want the particle buttons right there. You want to add a new one, and where it says emitter, click that, and you want hair. And right here under visualization, select emitter, and then over here under vertex group, click the little up and down arrows there and select scalp that we just made, that vertex group. Okay, now it's going to start putting particle hair when we start adjusting the normal. So running the normal up some, and you can see it coming out on his scalp where we told it to. Okay, that's probably long enough. I'm not sure what kind of hairstyle I'm going to give him. Maybe like a... haven't really thought about that. I guess just a basic, well, I guess haircut like I have, sort of a, I guess what's called a Caesar cut, just a high and tight, typical men's haircut. Okay, so in order to style that now, I have to set this particle group to set editable. And now I want to go to particle mode, right there. And I hit N on my keyboard to bring up the particle edit properties. Go ahead and adjust my screen so I can get in here. And right now we're looking at the edge mode, path edit. I want to go to the point select, right there. And I'm going to grab my comb tool right here. And I'll zoom out a little bit so I can get more at once. And just click and drag over it. And it does just that, it combs it back. So, I guess I need to comb it like I said if I'm going to give it the same haircut that I was talking about. So just comb it to where it looks about right. And on the front view, and just start adjusting it some. Right now you can see all the particles through the head, and that's useful when like I said, when you're in side view and you want to comb everything. Like let's work on the sideburns while we're right here, and I want to cut them so they're not so long. We don't need the sideburns to be that long, so we just cut them to about right there. And let's go in a little further, kind of cut them around the ear, so they're not coming through any of the earlobe or anything. Okay, now we can grab our comb tool again and just kind of, looks like I have one of those points selected, so just unselect everything. Okay, so now, okay, go back in the front view. It looks a little weird across the back of the neck. Hair doesn't really grow that way, but that was the way our vertices were arranged. So I'm just going to grab my cut tool and just cut in here like this. Okay. Now, what I was talking about earlier, you can see all of the hair through the head. And that's good for some things, but not necessarily always. So what you do to turn that off where it looks like a normal head of hair, you click this little box right here. So I get my pop-up to come up. Limit selection to visible. So you click that, and you can only see what's in front of the mesh. You can't see what's behind it. Okay. Now, If we rendered this, I'll go ahead and render it just so you can see. Go ahead and pop out of the particle mode. That's kind of what, those are the guides basically for the hair. So let's move our camera around a little bit. Actually, I'll show you a quick trick. I hate not using it. I'm just gonna click in the space somewhere, add an empty, and scale it up so I can always see it. And I want to grab my camera and shift click that empty, Control T, and I want to track to that constraint. So now I can control the what the camera's looking at a lot easier. So I just put that point there, rotate the camera, and it's always looking at that one point. So it's really, really handy. Okay. So let's zoom in here a little bit, and let's kind of, actually let's give that hair a texture first before we try a render. And so now I've got my model selected. I want to create a second material. So I just hit new, and I gotta go in here and kill all these. It just made a copy of what was on the model already, so I just want to delete all of those texture maps and everything that were on it, just that one, I guess. Now I want to give him like a dark brown hair. Maybe not quite so dark, but about like that. And where's my... Everything's rearranged here. I guess when I aligned it vertically, it rearranged it. Anyways, I want to make it a little shinier. Okay, and one way to make it look nice and realistic, go into the texture buttons, and you want to add a new one. Go to none, and we want blend. Now go to colors, color band, and go ahead and grab this black side and drag it all the way up to 1. Grab the blue side, go ahead and drag it all the way up to, well, it's already at 1, and I want to make it black. So there we go. This is going to control the transparency of the hair. So turn on alpha and grab this point here, drag it just about all the way down to 0. And what it's going to do is, like, on the far left side is going to be the base of the hair, like right next to the head. And then the longer the hair gets, the more transparent it's going to become. So it looks more, you know, thin at the end, more soft, basically. Rather than like a bunch of spaghetti noodles or something like that, it looks more realistic. So I need to go ahead and lower the opacity of the base of it a lot as well. It almost looks completely transparent, but it makes a big difference when it comes to rendering out the hair. A good way to kind of see what you're going to look at is over here in your preview panel. Click on the little, to me it looks like a little dog head or a little fox head or something. I guess could be that because it's like fur or hair. Anyways, you click on that, and it kind of gives you a quick preview of what the hair is going to look like. Okay, so we added that texture, and we want to map it to, nope, go to map input, and you want to select strand. And map to, we want alpha. Okay, we select alpha there. Sorry, I had to pause for a second. Now you can't see a difference because we need to turn the alpha settings all the way down. And we want Z transparency. Let me pull this so I think this goes about right there. And this, yeah, that looks about right. Okay, yeah, so now you can kind of see soft looking hair. And to apply it to our particles that we have here, go back into the Object F7 button, and we want to render material 2, because if you remember, we added that new material, it was material 2. Okay, now let's give it a test render, see what it would look like. Kind of thin and wispy. Looks like we got some of the color up here, but I'm not seeing it down here. Maybe it's too shiny. Let me turn down the shine. Make the specular color a little darker. There we go. And also we can work on the strands the way they look here. The start is going to be, I guess, the base of the hair. Yeah, that's what it is. So I want to make it not real big. Probably, let's try 2. And then the end, I want to make it as far down as it'll go. And that's 0.25. Okay, all the other settings should be good. Okay, go ahead and save it while I'm at it. I like to save often. And let's render out another test. Okay, that's a little bit better. But it kind of looks, as you can see, it's a little jaggedy. It's not real fluid, so we need to go back to the object. Turn up the steps, the render steps. Okay, now, as we can see, press F11 to bring up our render window, and it's really thin. You can see the scalp really badly through it. So we need to turn on children. And I want to turn it on faces. And boom, it fills it in right away. And one good thing we need to do is turn on strand render, and that'll help out. That'll help render things faster. Okay, so let's give it a test render now. Should look a lot better. It's probably still not perfect, but should be a lot better. Well, my computer's not very fast, is it? I guess maybe I'll pause the recording while I render so you guys don't have to wait on it. I'll do that the next go. Okay, well that looks a lot better. Still not like I'd like though. So let's play with some more settings. I'll need to comb it a little bit. We had a little bald spot going there. Right now it's rendering 100 children for each strand. And while that sounds like a lot, it's really not that much. I'm going to bump it up to 500. And we don't see a change here because I changed the render amount, not the visible amount. You can actually change that a little further down if you like, so you can kind of see the way the hair is going. Anything else special I need to do? Just comb it, I guess. Let's go back to particle mode, comb, and go ahead and click on the show children so you can see it being a little thicker, so you can comb it a little easier. You know, I'm just going to start basically over, just comb everything straight back. And just kind of work my way up here. Hair grows so weird, it's hard to duplicate it. And sometimes it's a little difficult to comb like I'm doing now because I'm touching every part of every hair. So one way to not do that is down here where we selected the, give me a little pop-up, come on. Anyways, basically the vertices of the hair. You click on this and it's just the tips of it. So now you can just kind of comb in a general direction without really messing with the whole hair. You just mess with the tip of the, and everything kind of follows it, but excuse me, you're not messing with like a bowl full of wet spaghetti or something like that. Okay, looks like we're having some problems in here. Let's comb that out some more. There we go. I give him some stylistic hair. One way to do that is click on length, and we want to grow, and then you just click and drag, and it makes whatever particle hair that you're looking at, that you're dragging over, makes it a little longer. Okay, so just give him some nice cartoonish faux hawk or whatever. Okay. Something we can do to help keep it from going inside the mesh is to change the deflector. The emitter is acting as a deflector now, and the distance it's keeping from the mesh is only 0.3. So let's put that up to, let's say, 1. And now kind of comb it. Now everything kind of bounces away from the mesh, from the scalp. And just kind of comb it back out now. Okay. Go back to object mode. Another thing to help with some more realisticness is to change the random length all the way up to 1, and you can see it makes it look more natural rather than everything being the exact same length, aside from where we made it longer in some parts. This helps make it look a little more natural. Okay, now let's take a look at this render again. I didn't render a new one. This is the one we rendered a second ago. It's too matte. It's not shiny enough. I took too much sheen off of it. So let's go back and add a little bit to that. Make this a little lighter, and add the specular up just a little bit. Go ahead and turn the sphere back on and adjust this so we can kind of see what we're doing. Maybe a little more hardness to it. Now, okay, back and back. Okay, save this guy, and let's give it a test render now. See what happens. Go back to camera view, F12. Okay, here's what we got rendered, and that's not very pretty. That's one thing that you have to keep doing sometimes when you're working on a model like this, is just keep playing with the settings until it looks right. What was it? It's way too shiny in some parts, or not shiny enough maybe. Let's change that a little darker and make the hardness a little more. Yeah, a little bit more maybe even. Okay. Okay. And let's see, one thing I like to do when I'm messing with like a fairly stylized, cartoonish character is give the hair, clump it together some. Clump it all the way. It has a really spiky, wet look. And I don't want it that much, so I'll just bring the clump down a little bit. We'll say 0.5. Okay. Now I'm going to change the camera view. For some reason this is taking a really long time to render. Look at my settings again real quick just to make sure everything's set up properly. Grab that. Yeah, that looks right. Change the render down a little bit. Simplification. If you use child simplification, what that does is, like, the further away you are, it doesn't render all the hairs, but if you're up close, it renders a bunch of them. So, also, I think if you select viewport, I get a little pop-up. No. I think if you select viewport, it only renders the ones that you can see in your viewport. It doesn't render, like, on the back of the head, it won't render it. So, that might help speed things up. Go ahead and save it again, and let's do another test render. And I'll go ahead and pause the recorder so you guys don't have to sit there and wait on it. Okay, I like that hair a lot better. That looks a lot nicer. It has more hair-like, I think. Or more, yeah. Anyways, this I'm sure will look tremendously better when we get a good lighting set up on it. And I will probably cover that within the next few segments. I think the next segment I want to do is go ahead and give him some eyebrows too. That way he has eyebrows. Everyone needs eyebrows. So, okay. I guess we got our hair on there, and I guess that's good for part 16. When I see you again in part 17, like I said, we'll go over the eyebrows and maybe start messing with some of the lighting setup in the camera setup. Well, the camera's pretty much set up already, I guess, but anyways, we'll see what happens. Okay, thank you for watching, and see you in part 16.